Hey everyone, Jason here from Off the Beaten Path, picking up where we left off at the northern end of the Crooked River Track at the old Stonewall town site. So that's just here. So previous video we did basically the northern end of Crooked River here from Talbotville. This area gets a little bit crowded, so I thought it was worth putting a navigation video in the front of this one again. So starting off, we go up Bulltown Spur, which, as you can see, is marked as a difficult track, I think, because it is quite steep. Track condition was quite good when we drove it, as you'll see. And then we crossed over McMillans Rd at the top of Bulltown Spur onto Good Hope Spur, and then into the top of Collingwood Spur Track, which we descended, which again is marked as a quite difficult track, but was in really good condition, and I don't think you would have a problem in dry conditions driving up or down it. So we headed down Collingwood Spur, which took us back to Crooked River Track. Not that far. This is where our campsite was a couple of videos ago now at the old Howardville town site, where we got up in the morning, crossed the river and headed north on Crooked River Track. So we've basically done a big loop. So down Collingwood Spur, back onto Crooked River, heading southeast now. So through a couple of these river crossings, this one here, and then another one there, and last one here just before heading up Randalls Track. Now the last two river crossings on Crooked River Track are the deepest ones at the southern end here. There's a gate just there, so that's one there and one there. And you will hear Luca talk about this bypass, which comes around here. So if you ever find yourself heading south on Crooked River and the river crossings are getting a bit deep, there is this bypass track here that skips the last two river crossings that you can take. Now we don't take that today. We keep going up Randalls Track, which is a good steady climb, and then onto this link track here, and then Gradys Creek Road, which was, if you stick around to the end of the video, and it is a long one, was a nice little surprise. We'd all look forward to driving this one again, but in the opposite direction. Computer's doing weird stuff. So without any further ado, guys, let's get into the video.
Oh, looks like there's another track up from Stonewall just here.
Hey everyone, Jason here from Off the Beaten Path, picking up where we left off. We're just here at
old disused track straight ahead too here.
the bottom of Bulltown Spur. So as you just heard me mention there on camera, there is an old track there straight ahead, but we're taking the right hand turn.
Nice hairpin climb there.
And heading up Bulltown Spur. This is a track that I've wanted to drive for quite some time. Seen it from the top from McMillans Rd many times. Looks really steep when you're looking down from the top there. And starts off pretty steady. The track was actually in really good condition though, which always helps.
A couple of wombat holes.
A few little wombat holes there, as you just heard me mention. It's a relatively short track, this one. It's 3 k's, almost straight up the side of the mountain. A few switchbacks here and there, and you can probably tell even with the camera inside the car just how steep this section of track is with the angle that it's on relative to the trees that are growing straight up. It gives you some indication. It's quite a steady climb, but weather was good on this particular day, and traction was good, so no real issues making the climb at this time. But it was great to be actually on this track. As I said, it's been on my list for a while to drive this and see what it's like. So just coming up on another switchback here, giving the 70 all the room it needs to try and make the turn. get too much further into this trip video. This is the last video of this trip.
We all travelling good?
And what an epic trip it's been. It was great running to Paul and Dan. Now,
She's a climb.
something I didn't know at the time when we were doing this trip and filming it is that this is the last trip in the 76. That's right. This is the last time you're going to see the 76 on the tracks. Now, why that is and how that's come about, I will cover off in a later video. So you just have to sit tight for that. But yeah, this is the last video in the 76, which was unexpected. Yeah, a bit of a flatter section through here. Picked up a bit of footage from Luca here. And as I was just saying, this being the last trip in the 76, it's good to have at least a little bit of externally shot footage of the vehicle doing its thing. It has been a great vehicle, and getting rid of it was not something that was on my radar. Just after this trip, I actually had a full top end intake clean done on the car for the 200,000k service, which, you know, if you've happened to own a 70 series, you know is not a cheap
There's a little bit of moisture still on the shoulders.
I think that cost me the best part of $3,000 to have a mechanic
Let's do Hearn Spur again.
pull the entire top end apart and clean it. You know, wash the parts in a bath and clean all the carbon and everything off, because I was intending to
Only joking, of course.
keep the vehicle for a long time. That's as it happened, this is the last trip anyway. Let's focus on the trip
Wet and dry in one trip for comparison, eh?
and the track.
Yeah, I reckon it'd be fairly dry now too.
So a little bit of radio chatter there about going back and doing Hearn Spur in the dry, but
Drive it.
yeah, that's not going to happen. We're a reasonable way from Hearn Spur now. There is a helipad marked here on the track, so I think that clearing there might have been it.
Looks like we're getting ready for the final climb.
And as I said, this track is only 3k's long, so just changing gears there. And we're into this climb. Again, you get some idea of just how steep it is.
Okay, my phone's full of storage, so I can't videotape anything anymore, Jason.
No worries, thanks.
And yeah, nice steady climb up that initial section. Flattens out a little bit through here as we're working our way towards McMillans Rd.
Fix up the order, Chase, when I can, you can use my GoPro footage.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool.
So a few little erosion gullies running down the track, as you can see there. Not a lot of the washout humps to divert in that section of track. One just here though. And a little bit lumpy as we're climbing up to McMillans Rd. So McMillans Rd is a common way a lot of people access Talbotville. It comes in via the Grant Old Town site, which is worth checking out if you haven't been there before. A lot of history. Hard to imagine the size of some of these old towns, but there's basically nothing left of now. close here to the actual final climb. But as you can see, look, all the way up the track was in pretty good nick. This was, of course, filmed in early December of 2024, so about 6 months ago now. Good view ahead of the track there, so we've still got a little ways to go. A little bit lumpier here than it has been, and yeah, definitely climbing up to McMillans Road now. So this section looks very steep when you're up on McMillans Road looking down at it. Also feels pretty steep when you're driving up it. A little bit loose in places, but overall traction was pretty good. And obviously with the 76 without diff locks and traction control, I'm trying to keep all four wheels on the ground as much as possible to maintain drive and traction.
Wombat holes ahead.
Just eyeballing this lumpy little section here as we get up to McMillans Road. See how steep that was. Now coming up to the top of McMillans Road, our plan here was to go basically straight across McMillans Road onto the Good Hope Spur Track, which is just here on the left. It's a very hard left, so if you keep going,
Oh yeah, I see it here, Luca.
keep going straight ahead there, that takes
Or should
you
I take the left-hand lane?
No, it's in front of me here.
back down to Talbotdale. So
Let's have a look at it. Oh, you're right to go.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have a crack.
Roger.
so just barely making it around there. Managed to stall it. And because I was on such a sharp angle to get around there, you really didn't get much of a look at that, but it's pretty lumpy. And you know, obviously I've just ended up there on the alignment that I'm on because of having made the turn, but yeah, reversing back now to get a better look at it and also choose a better line.
Mark 2.
So now that I've got the opportunity to actually choose my line, I can span some of those holes. Dan just shot this out his window.
Perfect line. Perfect line.
And makes all the difference keeping all four wheels on the ground there. A little bit of a steady climb straight after that.
Yeah, I think that's the line.
But after that initial sort of challenging section there, the rest of this track is pretty easy going, really. So this Good Hope Spur Track, you can either follow it all the way through and it loops back onto McMillans Road, or it joins up with the end of the Collingwood Spur Track, which
Yeah, she's steady. Looks like a big hole or step part way up
which
too.
is the way we're gonna head. So yeah, another steady climbing section here, and as you just heard me mention on the radio, a bit of a hole or something there in the middle of the track, which you can see coming from this side quite comfortably. And I've elected to go right and try and keep the wheels on the ground there. A little bit of a wheel lift on the
You're all good there.
right hand side.
Yeah, just coming up.
Nicely done, Dan.
Yeah, you did well too. You caught it.
Yeah, I had a bit of a wheel lift.
And yeah, just working our way up this hill.
This is definitely the Shiznik.
Enjoyable driving, keeps your wits about you, that's for sure. Crested that climb and onto a much flatter section of track. So again, this section of Good Hope Spur is only about 2 kilometres long, and you can see it's well and truly closed in a bit on on this flatter section of track. Just trying to figure out
Assume this is the way.
exactly where we go. A bit of a clearing there. I wasn't
Maybe just a campsite there. Go on left at the little junction.
100% sure whether this was the continuation of the main track or whether it was out the other side, but everybody seemed to agree this was the actual main track. So I don't think this is one that gets all that much traffic.
It was a good little rock step up that last climb, wasn't it?
It was a sensational little drive from the start there, and a few along the way there. It was great.
It's that balancing act. You don't mind a few challenges on tracks, at least we don't, but you don't necessarily want to be driving technical obstacles one after the other for hours on end. Yeah, those two little obstacles, although this little hole here did take me by surprise. Watch this.
Little dip over this other side of that hill.
As you notice there, the bottom basically just disappeared.
Yeah, deep puddle. Yeah, big hole there after a little bump. Where you'd have
So you do have, there is often holes on the other sides of those washout humps, but that was a much bigger hole than usual.
Yeah, you get to find all those little gems.
Yeah, most of this track is fairly flat once you complete that initial climb, and a bit of water up on top here from the rain in the last day or so.
Bit of a bumpy exit from that last puddle.
And we've just reached here.
So we want to turn right here, Luca, is that right?
Just turning far for a minute. If you want to go down Collingwood Spur, yes. But we need to work out what.
So yeah, we hadn't fully planned, but we did decide we were going to descend Collingwood Spur. So we just pulled up there for a quick morning tea break, stretch the legs, and get ready to make the descent down Collingwood Spur Track, which again, this is another first for me. I've driven past the bottom end of Collingwood Spur many times down on the Crooked River Track. Never actually driven the track before myself, so
should be a decently steep descent down Collingwood Spur here.
certainly was interested to see just how steep it might be.
Yeah, I did it about 6 weeks ago, I think it was. Yeah, nothing too outrageous. So
definitely a steady descent, but much like Bulltown Spur, probably even more so. The track's in really good condition. It's been graded not too long ago, certainly in the last year or so, I would think. There's nothing in the way of big ruts or anything.
I was just saying to Luca, Dan, like we both refueled in Mansfield, and my long range tank has only just moved the needle off the F.
Wow. How much is in that? 180?
Oh, not quite. It's 166 litres.
What's the factory?
Factory in these is like 85. Well, in this particular model. Later model ones have bigger tanks.
Yep. Yeah, they were 90, and then I think they went to 130, didn't they, in the new model?
Yeah, something like that.
And I think it's a 79 and the Troopy now all 180 or 160.
I think the Troopy's definitely 180.
Another reason why I like the Troopy.
Yeah, well look, it's been a game changer for me putting this long range tank in. It's, yeah, like one of the best things I think I've done to the vehicle so far. You know, I mean, at least with the Padge I only had a 90 litre tank in that as well, but at least I had the swing away on the back where I could carry the jerry can.
Yeah, there's no doubt the long range fuel tank made a huge difference to the range of the 76, and peace of mind on trips. Could just cover so much ground with it. Certainly added a bit of weight. It didn't really adversely impact the clearance or departure angle, given it's the tow bar that tends to hit whenever I'm driving off a rock step or something like that. So yeah, no, it's been really good. And yeah, just making our way down Collingwood Spur. As you can see, blue skies and sunshine today, and the track's been in great condition. Some steady sort of descents, but then some flatter sections. We've reached the...
I reckon that's Billy Goat Bluff we're looking at over there on the left, isn't it?
And yeah, we've reached the helipad just here, which is about halfway down.
Yeah, I reckon that's Billy Goat Bluff track.
Once you leave the helipad area,
Yep, I'd say you're right. Looking at the map.
Starting again with another bit of a descent. Does soon sort of flatten back out as we work our way down this spur. And then onto another steady descent. Certainly handy having a vehicle with decent hinge and braking. Does make managing your speed on these descents a lot easier. A lot of the time I'm just in second gear, low range, and not requiring a lot of braking at all to
yeah, it's good, isn't it?
The speed. Working our way down here, you can see a bit of wind around, you can see the trees moving, some cracking views as we work our way down here as well, as you can sort of see out ahead now. Very steady descent down this section. It's all about slow and steady wins the race with these sort of tracks. You don't want to try and take them too fast. Makes things a lot easier.
Sorry, what was that, mate?
So good.
Yeah, it's crack-a-lacking.
After the bad weather yesterday, we didn't get too many views like this.
No, that's true.
A bit of erosion gully on the track there, and about to start another steeper section of the descent as we work our way up over that hump on the track. Definitely one of those tracks that over time I could see developing some ruts. You know, if for no other reason than the amount of water that probably runs down here when it does get fairly wet. But at the time we drove it in December 2024, as you can see, the track condition at that time was pretty good. Traction was good, and in that condition, I wouldn't say this track necessarily warrants the difficult rating that it's got. It's probably rated that just simply for the steepness of it, I guess. It's a manual vehicle with good engine braking, or an auto, I guess, with hill descent control or appropriate gearing, makes that very manageable. closer to the bottom now, as you can see. That wind's still fairly active. And just slowly working our way down, letting the gearing control our speed to a certain extent. Is this when we get to the bottom here, back to the Crooked River Track, we are joining the Crooked River Track only a couple of 100 metres east of where we joined it and headed west after our camp last night at the end of the racecourse track. So you might remember that. That's a couple of videos ago now. But yeah, we actually in this video end up driving a significant portion of the entire Crooked River Track, and
all of my brake lights work there, Paul, whilst I've got you back
most
there.
of the crossings.
Yeah, both are working. What about the centre one? Yep. Thank you. And your centre brake light that's on the fold on the door ain't working. See? Roger that. Which side? Put your brakes on. Yeah, both sides, all four back end lights are working, your brake lights, but the one in the middle of the tailgate isn't working.
Good opportunity to check your brake lights on a hill like this. You're certainly going to be using them at least a little bit. Another lumpier section of track here as we're working our way down.
So this is the track you're taking wintertime when those two rivers down the bottom there are too deep to cross, because the first two are always extremely deep. So you can bypass it by this area here.
See down there, that's the
cool.
Crooked River Track.
How long did you say you're going to take off?
At the bottom of Collingwood Spur.
I think it's about 19 weeks of long service leave now, and they want the rumour is they want everyone to have a total of 8 weeks. So I have to take 12 weeks off. Roger, yeah, that's a nice break. That's a really nice break. Well, yeah, well done.
So yeah, heading east or southeast on the Crooked River Track, and we've just reached our first river crossing on this section of the track. So interested to see how deep this might be. The crossings down this end of the Crooked River Track are deeper than the area further north, because at this point it has joined up with the Wangangara River.
That's good. Yeah. You'll work it out. You'll get to the. I mean, now you've got a work in the way and all that. So once all that disappears for a few months,
pretty much just on bonnet depth on 76 there.
I'll film you guys come across.
Nice work.
And yeah, I missed Dan coming across, but Luke is coming across now in his patrol. Good steady bow wave there. And Paul coming across in his FJ. Nice and steady as he always is, Mr. Control as I call Paul.
So for anyone that wants to know, here is an old town called Winchester, just behind us.
And yeah, just another one of the old town sites scattered through the high country and along this river in particular. There's 3 or 4 of them. And We've got a little bit of a run now before getting to the next crossing. As you can see on the screen, the track does deviate up away from the river and turns into your typical high country track with a drop off on one side. Passing in this area can get difficult, and I have seen people tow vans along here. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. Small camper trailers are probably pretty manageable, but yeah, I've seen people take some pretty big vans along here, and they're certainly braver than I am. I wouldn't be doing that. I think the best way to get vans in and out of Talbotville is down the McMillans Rd. So yeah, we've just rejoined the river there and then departed from it again. So the big open area there on the left is actually
because my map's showing we've got a crossing coming up just around the corner here, and then Randalls Track's on the left straight after the crossing.
That was a leased area for cattle grazing, and as you just heard me announce on the radio,
so we'll be taking the bypass. So if you keep going and then double back to Randalls, that's 2 crossings. But yes, so the way we're going is bypassing the 2 river crossings, the first 2 that were deepest.
So yeah, river crossing here again.
Bar of reception for you.
And this one's deep.
She's deep. I'll film you guys come across this one.
And I don't know if you picked it up there, but
you're a bit heavier than me. That looks sketchy as. I'm not that confident.
Even the 76 got moved a little bit to the side by that one. And you just heard Dan's thoughts on the radio, so he stopped and had a good long think about whether he wanted to tackle this one. It's a wide, deep crossing with a lot of flow going through it. He did consider his options about going back the other way, but he's pushed on. As you can see, that centre flow has pushed him to the side a little bit. He's been able to maintain his momentum and get through. This is the view from behind from Luca's car, where you can see where the current pushes him to the side there a bit. Where it's, right through there, it's really sort of gotten hold of him, and he's managed to continue driving and out the other side. So top effort from Dan and piloting Prado.
Well driven, Dan.
Through that. If you're not used to river crossings, pulling up and looking at something like this and driving your car into it on purpose is a bit confronting at the best of times. You can see Lucas' front end's just disappeared there. But like me, he's got a bit more weight than Dan on, and he's pushed through fine. And Paul in the FJ, he does keep that pretty light, but might still be a little heavier than Prado, I think. Does move with the current a little bit though, as you can see. And again, he's kept that pretty steady and turned himself out the other side pretty readily.
Hang on, that was the one I just got out.
Yes.
So I want that.
So you want to put that one in the other one?
Yeah.
So yeah, after that water crossing, as you saw on the screen, Paul's FJ was throwing a code, and it was something to do with ignition on one of the cylinders. So he decided to pull the ignition coils out and swap them over and see if the code moved from one cylinder to another to determine whether the ignition coil was actually the issue.
I wouldn't even bother the screw. Not going to go anywhere. I'll plug it in.
Well, it's going to stay there either way if it's.
So the FJs are a petrol engine.
Oh, leave it at. Oh.
You should swap.
Oh, yeah, you should swap it. Yeah. Oh, but see, you shouldn't have put the other one in.
Huh?
You're still going to get a misfire.
Yeah, it should be on cylinder here.
So a different code.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to go scan gauge.
Yeah.
Right, got it.
difference.
Yeah, at least the engine bay here is fairly accessible to get to stuff.
Yeah, very good, isn't it?
I'm not confident this is going to do anything, but if it does, then great.
If it does, then it tells you something about what's going on, doesn't it?
Yep.
Didn't realise you were videotaping.
Yeah, I'm doing a Dan. I'm just
God, you YouTube, you can never let our hair down, can we?
No, see, I'm doing a Dan just quietly over here, secretly filming.
There we go. Right.
All right, moment of truth. Does the error code move to a different cylinder?
Not possible. Ready, clear, go, go.
I think it'd spray water again. Different code? Wow, there you go.
Is it a different code?
It might be that, what are they called, an ignition coil?
But why is it not running rough? Yeah, because the other one ran rough, and this one is not running rough. So yeah. Who knows?
Maybe problem solved. Did you get your screwdriver?
Yep.
We've just had a brief stop after what should be our last river crossing for the day. We're about to head up Randalls Track and into Dargo so Luca can get some fuel. Paul's was getting an engine code on his FJ and it was running rough. It looks like one of the cylinders wasn't firing. He was able to get his scan tool onto it and check the code. And he just moved the ignition coil from cylinder 6 to another cylinder, and the code moved. So it seems like he's got a crook ignition coil. It didn't look like any water had gotten in there. We've done a heap of river crossings today and yesterday. So he's going to push on and after the trip get himself a new ignition coil probably. Okay, no worries mate, moving off. That was deeper than I thought it was going to be.
I think that was as deep as I was thinking it was going to be. Yeah, you and me both. What's he doing? What's Jason doing, Paul? What do you reckon? Oh, just the last time Jason took us up here, it was deep then, and I don't think it had been raining that time.
All right, going up, guys. I like how it's my fault for the deep river crossings.
So if you guys go straight on, like you've taken left, but if you go straight, you do 2 river crossings. They're the ones that are deeper ones. And then up here, so we take this road here to bypass these 2 river crossings. If you wanted to stay on Crooked River Track, that is, right? So I'll show you where that diversion is to take to.
So yeah, really handy bit of info there that Luca's pointing out is that we've just started Randalls Track obviously, and we're going to continue up Randalls Track right to the top of it. But knowing that there's actually a turn off just after you start Randalls Track, which is just coming up shortly, and it takes you back down to the Crooked River Track after the next 2 river crossings, which are the last 2 and the deepest 2. So if you're heading south or southeast on Crooked River Track and you're concerned
I think that's it just there, isn't it, on the
About
bend?
the depth of the river crossings. So yeah, this is the turn off just there. It's on the inside of that corner. It didn't really come up in the camera, but if you keep an eye out for it does come up pretty quick, and it bypasses those last two river crossings. So if you have a look at a good detailed map, one of the HEMAs, the topo or the rooftop maps.
How are you going climbing this with one less cylinder, Paul?
I got all 6.
Oh, nice.
I cleared the code and it says no code and it's working fine.
Go figure. Gotta love electronics.
Yeah, I'm not convinced root cause has been established.
No, I tend to agree. Yeah, by clearing the code, who knows, probably go away forever.
Maybe just some water in some connector somewhere that drained away and it's fine now.
Yeah, that's right. To do with cylinder 6, yep.
So a little bit lumpy through this section.
Yeah, dry it out while you were changing the ignition coils over.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Got a good steady climb and plenty of traction, and not so lumpy that you're lifting wheels left, right and centre. And a reasonably cleared area on either side of the track, so you do get some views as you're climbing up here because the trees are not right up at the edge of the track, which is always good.
But I dare say if you're going to be camping around Dargo and you're going home tomorrow, you'll probably go up Berwick somewhere up there, I presume.
Now, I don't know. So you're saying that's like the main road to Hotham from Harriettville?
Yeah, so I dare say maybe if you go up Dargo High Plains Road and turn right, you'll be right, because it's in between the two towns, so you're going the other way.
Yeah, last time I went up Dargo High Plains and went down the windy road through Harriettville and went home.
Well, okay, so you won't be doing that this time.
You could take Guns Track and then take the first right, and that brings you into Harriettville.
What track was that?
Guns Track, the one we did in January.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And instead of going left and heading elsewhere, you just keep right, and that'll actually just take you straight back into Harriettville.
Okay.
That's kind of the way I'm thinking of heading home.
Just slow down a sec, Jay, so I can catch you again.
So yeah, nice steady climb up this section of Randalls Track, and as you just heard, we're just chatting about the fact that at this time there'd actually been a collapse on the Great Alpine Road between Harriettville and Mount Hotham. So just discussing the logistics of heading home, because Paul and I both need to head north to get home. He's got a bit further to go than me, and yeah, Luca had seen that alert come through as it actually happened. By the time we were heading home later this afternoon, the road was actually
apparently there was a mine
reopened.
shaft under the road and it collapsed.
So I did end up staying on the bitumen.
A mine that filled up with water that created a sinkhole.
But yeah, it was quite a big collapse of the main Great Alpine Road, but being such a key road for access to the resorts and everything, they got straight onto it and repaired it very quickly within a matter of hours.
Alpine Shire Council has I think it's a Facebook page. You can find it in there.
So almost a mini little rock step there, certainly a lumpy little climb as we get up and over that hump and continue the steady climb up Randalls Track.
It's been this bad. Geez, I mean, it's really chewed up there, isn't it?
I remember my mate ran out of petrol probably around here somewhere.
Not where you want to be running out of petrol.
Diesel, actually.
Or diesel for that matter.
We had some in a Jerry. He was trying to get to Dargo and he didn't make it, but maybe it's because the fuel wasn't picking up fuel.
Yeah, well, Jason knows all about that. Getting his vehicle started again, he had to call RSCV and the mechanic or whatever it was, but there's a big story on that one. So, yeah, he was lucky he could fill it up and get going.
Yeah, they don't like sucking air, the diesels.
Patrick, yeah, but didn't they pull bloody trailers up here?
I think that was Collingwood Spur.
Roger, okay.
And just coming up to the first helipad here on Randalls Track.
What goes up must go down again before going up again.
And as you can see, looking from this helipad across the valley on the ridge line up to where the next helipad is. So yeah, it's always great with these high country tracks when you can see the track opening up ahead of you like that. And Randalls Track was a fantastic drive, one I definitely recommend.
That's the first check engine light I've had on any car.
Well, that's good going.
Yeah. Scan gauge 3, they're really good.
So yeah, nice steady run along here with me in front, down in the Prado behind, and this footage captured by Luca and his patrol.
Well, I know from previous trips that, you know, from fill point to fill point over the same terrain, Luca will use basically twice as much.
4.2 naturally aspirated, meaning it had a carburetor in it, 4.2 petrol. But the way I look at it is you just work a little harder and pay for the fuel costs, that's it, doesn't matter.
Good philosophical point of view there from Luca on fuel usage and costs. And
Yeah, you're not using it as a commuter and doing big miles on it.
No. Jason wants to drag my sorry ass to bloody Simpson Desert. And, yeah, he goes, oh, it's a bloody bucket list trip. I'm thinking, he's sort of got me, he's getting to that edge where I'm sort of getting convinced of trying it, but I don't think so. I can't carry that much fuel.
so as you can hear there, just discussing the Simpsons, definitely on my list of
It'll be fine. I'll be towing a trailer. We'll put some fuel on
tracks
that.
that I want to do. And yeah, Luke is concerned about being able to take enough fuel for his thirsty
Yeah.
4.8 litre patrol.
I'll let it go fund me page. Just need to pay for it. He's towing the trailer.
Good steady climb
I'll start a GoFundMe page to pay for all the fuel.
up Randalls Track here, still climbing our way up. While it's been a little bit lumpy in sections, most of this track has been in pretty good nick
Hit the range.
and very drivable.
Yes it is. But look, I've learned to live with it. Long range tank, I'm not really keen on the idea. For the little times I choose my tracks and just put a couple of, 3 litres of jerry cans, 3 20-litre jerry cans on the top. But I'm pretty sensible driving when I've got that much weight up the top there, so that sort of works for me, and it's rare that I do need to carry jerry cans, and so, yeah, you get used to it.
I think when I did the Simpson, I had about 180 litres of fuel, but only used like 115 or something.
Yeah, well, it's good, being cautious and carrying more than what you need is a great thing, I believe.
So just reached the second helipad there on Randalls Track. Pushing straight on.
Really love it.
It's not actually too far from that helipad to the top end of Conway Track, which meets up with the top of Randalls Track here. Conway Track comes straight up from the Kingswell Bridge, which I have driven before a couple of times in both directions.
Yeah, and 3 litres are not that popular.
No, well, look, they're a great vehicle as long as you look after them and do the proper things to prevent things going wrong. And look, I've got nothing against them, but, you know, I'm extremely happy with this one.
I mean, they're popular because they're affordable, so yeah, people try to get them reliable. The Max has been pretty good. The Dean's is blown up, cost you 25 grand.
Yeah, that's a hell of a lot of money. I mean, when I bought this, how long ago was it? 2011? 2010, whatever it was. It cost me $26,000, and it only done 100,000 Ks on it. Less, about 100,000, yeah.
When did you buy it?
No, you're doing well keeping it down, whereas I bought this 18 months ago and it had 155 on the clock, and I've just hit 200, so that's 45,000 in 18 months.
Yeah, but you do drive a lot for work and things. I know it's highway driving, which doesn't mean much, but yeah, you use it a lot.
It's hidden behind fluffy bracken or ferns and stuff, and then there's a solid trunk there. I've nearly hit one of those speed in New South Wales high country.
Yeah, especially in springtime when everything sort of starts to grow and it covers big logs and there you're thinking, oh, you're just rubbing up against a new foliage, and there's a log in behind it.
So yeah,
That's the Conway Track on the right. That takes you down to Kingswell Bridge. That's a good little climb too.
Yeah, just passing the Conway Track that I mentioned earlier there.
Yeah.
And from there we continued along another couple of Ks. It was a pretty even, steady drive, so I didn't include too much of that footage in the video, but about another 3 Ks, and we've just turned right onto Link Track or Link Road,
so I can keep up with you.
depending exactly what map you're looking at. And our plan here is to link up with Gradys Creek Road, or Gradys Creek Track is probably a better name for it. So yeah, we hit this intersection here where Link Track meets up with Range Road and Gradys Creek Road.
Yeah, the straight one. If you go straight, that's the one.
Yeah, I was just messing around with trying to get my UHF back again. That's the only thing with the handset with all the buttons on the front of it. You go to grab it and sometimes hit a weird button and takes it off channel and changes the setting.
So yeah, it's sort of ahead but veering left to get onto Gradys Creek Road.
I'll just wait for Paul, so you guys have got a clear run there.
None of us had actually driven this track before, and
yeah, figured it wouldn't be too far
ended up being
this should take us straight out to the Dargo High Plains Road.
good little surprise actually, and one we were keen to come back and do again in the opposite direction. Starts out pretty level and pretty flat, and definitely resembles more a road than a track, but the closer you sort of get to the eastern end, the high plains, the more that changes. I think this track's about 8 kilometres long. Probably the first 5 to 6 kilometres, largely ridgeline driving, pretty flat, pretty steady, easy going like you're seeing now. And then it's the last sort of 2 kilometres or so where you've got a bit of a descent.
Well, yeah, the oncoming's pulled over.
That things change and it gets a little more interesting. So we did meet somebody coming the other way. It's there in the D22.
4 of us.
Navara.
It's an interesting little place if you're into those things.
Oh, maybe I haven't seen that.
Some nice views too, just as we come up and begin this descent here.
There's not much room down the end. You sort of got room for, just to turn around and that's it.
I'm going back to low range for this descent.
nervous, but this initial section here was definitely a very steady descent.
We're choosing low range.
And well worth, the small amount of time it takes to change the vehicle into low range, have the appropriate gearing, and be able to adequately control your speed as we descend. And initially,
this has turned into a good little
this
track.
section was in good nick, but plenty steep sort of descent, as steep as most things we've driven today, to be honest. Flattened out again very quickly. Wasn't going to stay that way though. Really interesting drive through here. Twisty, turny, changes in steepness. A little bit lumpy through here that's probably not showing up on camera necessarily. That view again as we work our way down here.
Like a postcard.
Probably a few more years, might be some trees growing up and that view might have closed out a bit, but
lovely.
Yeah, it's not a bad view at all.
At the moment, nice and open, and almost encouraging you to take your eyes off the track, which is not what you want to be doing. A couple of little rock steps here as we're just working our way down.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad idea.
See that track just continues to disappear. We actually, with the name Gradys Creek Road, this is not what we were expecting, but it made for a nice end to the trip, because once we finish this track, we're onto the bitumen and into Dargo, and all heading home from there. Flattening out a little bit in this section, but still descending. It was surprising how
second gear, low range, no brakes, just letting the engine braking control the speed on this descent.
How little amount of traffic we actually did see over this trip. Making our descent, and as you can see here, this section was very lumpy, and there's actually a bypass track there on the left.
This section's been a bit torn up,
which I didn't initially realise was a bypass track, but very quickly realised that's exactly what it was. There's a decent hole in the track here, which is very hard to see from this
bypass track's there for a reason, I think,
from this angle, but I was sort of committed, so just continued and drove down it. Obviously a lot easier going down rock steps than it is driving up them, but yeah, obviously people have had some trouble coming back the other way.
Gotta come back a bit, Luca. I think I'm just going to go left.
Created that bypass track, and Dan, not wanting to risk damaging the rear end of his Prado, has opted for that bypass.
Just goes to show, when you're trying new tracks, you just never know what you're in for.
Absolutely, you don't know what you're going to come across, so it's nice to see.
So,
We've got another one here.
Just hold up there, Jason. I'm just going to dust off the GoPro.
so yeah, another split in the track here.
I
Little
think
bypass track on the left.
I think I'm going to take the beeline this time, now that I can see it's a beeline.
And yeah, a little descent there on the right. So as you just heard me announce on the radio, I've decided to take the beeline this time just for something different.
Hang on a minute, Jason.
A little bit of wheel work there to get over and across.
Yeah, I was just getting my car in a safe spot. I was a little bit precarious, stop there. This is what we've just
Yeah, you're right, mate.
driven around.
So as you can see, a little bit of a rock step up
What's it look like?
top
I'm
and
not
a little
going
bit lumpy, and Luca fully intends to have a crack at it.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine.
And I've confidently just told him, yeah, he'll be fine, which I fully expected that he would be. A little bit slow grabbing the camera, he's pretty much already onto it. So just a brief clip there, and Luca can now lead us the rest of the way.
Sort of hold. Wheel left there, Paul, on the right.
Nice steady descent.
Yeah, I couldn't see on that one. I thought there were holes in that one as well, so I thought I'll go around this time.
And yeah, the engine braking in the cruiser really doing its job in keeping this pace nice and slow and steady. Luca's got the automatic in his Patrol. Doesn't provide quite as much engine braking, and you can see over on the right there of frame the exit road. So it goes down to the bottom here. There's a little stream right down the bottom. It is sort of shown as a river crossing on the maps, but it's not really a river crossing, as you'll see. And then from there there's a bit of a climb up to the Dargo High Plains Road. So we're just about at the bottom now. Look, this has been an absolutely cracking trip. We all really enjoyed this. I can't believe I didn't have my GoPros or better cameras. And as I said at the start, guys, this is unexpectedly the last trip in the 76. There'll be one more video with the 76 in it, a bit of a walk around video that I filmed really quickly, and then that's it, and something new will be on the channel. So stay tuned for that. Here's this little stream crossing that I mentioned.
I'm going to just freshen up, boss. I've got the chance.
It's yeah, not really a river crossing.
There's that back end.
Got a little bit of a divot, and yeah, the tow bars still managed to hit on the way. So Lucas just
Alrighty, we're good to get
pulled
going.
over there, and I just waited for everybody to sort of catch up and regroup and start this final climb up and out.
Yeah, I'm glad we came this way. This track was a good little find.
It was because you've been over the track now. Mind you, I'll forget about it in 2 months' time, but I've marked it. And going up is going to be interesting if you're looking for something challenging.
Yeah, certainly would be a good drive going back the other way.
Mind you, they would be slippery if they've been chewed out like that.
This track, or this section of the track, is in pretty good condition. You can see.
Yeah, the first vehicle will probably have a good go. Probably make it. Second, third, fourth, be a little bit of a slosh hole.
So yeah, that is one of the things, particularly in wet
Probably end up
conditions.
with a community guideline strike.
The more vehicles that go through, the more torn up the track becomes.
There's nothing dirty about it, but yes.
So just coming back onto the High Plains Road now.
Alright, just going to drop out a low range and keep it slow and steady into town.
So yeah, we didn't pull up here to air up. Decided we'd air up back in town.
Tell you what, she seems quiet rolling on the bitumen now after being on tracks for 2 days.
Yeah, and smooth.
And yeah, it really isn't very far from the end of the
Your
end of this track
instantaneous fuel usage at the moment, Paul, must be just on
into,
zero.
Dargo.
Yep, 0. Cuts fuel once you get above a certain RPM with no load on it, no acceleration.
Cracking weather. So yeah, the plan was air up in Dargo, refuel, grab any supplies everybody needs, and then we can all hit the road and start heading south. Although I think Dan and Paul were going to camp somewhere along the Dargo River, perhaps, which is just there on the left.
Pumping as well.
Pumping, as I just said, because I think they had an extra day on this weekend than what Luca and I did. You know, just for a standard weekend, it's a long way for Paul to come. So yeah, made it to the infamous Dargo Hotel and pulled up out the front as you do for the photo. And yeah, the usual suspects. I need to get a pair of sunnies, I think. But yeah, as always guys, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll catch you in the next one.